Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Wine Time with Peggy show, featuring Peggy Fiandaca, who, along with her winemaker husband Kurt Lawrence Dunham, owns and operates LDV Winery in Arizona. Hey, everybody, today is a day, right? You know what it is? It is Wine Wednesdays with Peggy Day. We love this. If you're going to kick off a month, you might as well do it with wine. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about, well, vineyard update, because now I think Arizona is not how we feel when we're up in the Pacific Northwest. I think Arizona's getting a little bit more sunshine. We're going to talk about cooking with wine, a new wine term that connects with that too. And Peggy's got a new recipe. So welcome back, Peggy. How are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, it's the new year and we're finishing up got through the first month and on to the second, so excited about 2024.
How is the weather affecting? Because the weather's been wonky. And I heard like Tucson got a little dusting of snow and got real cold. And we've been out and we actually drove through vineyards in an ice storm. And I'm going, oh my God, Peggy and Kurt cannot look at this. You know what happens?
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there going, oh my gosh. And actually, we were supposed to go do a barrel tasting at a winery out in a near Portland area. And the way the storms were, it ruined the wine plans. And I think that is just disgusting, right? Thank God for shipping. But there's something about being able to visit a winery or go to the tasting room. But I was sitting there going, what about these poor vineyards? I mean, the ice, then I think, well, they make ice wine. So maybe because they're dormant, they're okay. What happens with these really cold temperatures? And I want to know about yours, but you know,
Right, right. Well, our vines are dormant this time of year, and so we put them to sleep, and they're now taking a long winter's nap. And unless it got really cold where we are, and I'm saying well below 32 degrees, which it doesn't happen where we're at, then we might have some difficulty with losing some vines. But our vines are they can tolerate the cold. We haven't had any quite a bit of snow in the vineyard. We have on the Chiricahua Mountains behind our vineyard. We've had snow up there. We've had quite a bit of rain. Um,
that's good
on
for Arizona, though.
Yeah, we love the let it rain and deep soak in the vineyard. But no, we haven't had any difficulties with weather for us.
Mm.
And of course, in the Scottsdale area, it's beautiful temperatures. I think it's in the mid high 70s today. Just a perfect Arizona winter day out
As
here.
we record this, we're not in that temperature, but as it airs, we'll be moving on to warmer temperatures. So
Good.
I'm all good with that. But those poor vineyards, like, I mean, are they planting vineyard? Like, are they planting grapes that can handle that? Because I mean, but ice is different than snow. I mean, this was a whole
True.
other thing that they were not used to. They get a lot of snow, but this is nuts.
True. Now the ice and there's some precautions that vineyards will take when they know that maybe they're going to have some icy
Mm.
weather, by running some irrigation through the
Oh.
lines to um, could help mitigate it. But yes, that frozen water hanging on the vines could be detrimental. Snow, water at this
Mm.
time of year, not so much, but
Mm.
that ice on those vines could be problematic. But
As Nancy and I were
hopefully,
driving by, we were like, no.
I know it. Hopefully, they have the grape varieties that can handle those cold
Mm.
temperatures in the wintertime.
Mm.
Ours
Yeah.
are Rhone varietals, and they're sun bunnies. They like the temperatures that we have here in Arizona.
It is wild because when you're driving by, there's icicles on the side of the mountains. There's frozen waterfalls. I'm not kidding. Nancy and I are like,
Wow.
oh my gosh. And then you think about, the all the farmers, the agricultural side with what.
Right.
That's why I love hearing these updates. So you guys were fine. You've got a little snow, but when does, because you're getting sunshine in the 70s and that,
Mhm.
the sun bunny land is coming through and the bunnies are starting to come out in February, March. So when do you start to get, so would it be butt break for when the first leaves come out?
Well, of course, I'm talking about the Scottsdale being up in the 70s. We're still pretty
Oh,
cold down at the vineyard.
really? Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. It's still
oh,
quite a
mountains. Yeah.
yeah, it's still in the it might get up to the 50s during the daytime at the vineyard, maybe, and then it cools off at nighttime. It'll cool down. But it's what we've done in the vineyard. It right now is we finished up our long pruning. I think I mentioned that previously. It's really thinning out the vines and
Mm.
taking out those long um, shoots basically off the vine and dropping those because we're going to start in March doing the more final pruning of those vines that will allow us to determine
Mm.
how many buds we want on every plant. And we haven't
Oh,
determined that
wow.
yet. So what Kurt will do is then go through the vineyard and take a look at the vines and but by each of the grape varieties, begin to determine how many buds we want to anticipate per shoot
Mm.
or per vine. And typically it's 2 to 5 buds that we're
Mm.
looking for. And so we'll be doing that kind of final pruning in March.
Oh,
And we're also end of February, March timeframe. And then we're also preparing. Remember, I mentioned that we're going to be replanting
yeah,
in,
yeah.
in late March. So we have 1,200 plants coming that we want to prepare for. So, it's getting all the equipment ready, things like grow tubes, the irrigation, etc. Getting identify how many crew members that we
Wow.
need to do that many plants planting and
So in other words, you can't just take February off.
no, I mean it's a lot easier, but our poor crew that was doing the pruning, it was
Mm.
pretty cold out there, so they could only work a few hours at a time in
Oh,
that
wow.
cold weather pruning. It's a rough
It's
job.
wow. Well, I know you guys, this is a busy time for the tasting room up in Scottsdale too. So do you have events happening? Because I know you, or do you do that in a different time frame or?
We do. We're excited about February. We're doing Galentine's kind of events for the gals that maybe they don't have a partner
Mm.
and they want to go get together with their gal pals and do something special for celebrate Valentine's Day. So we have some specials for them. We
Cool.
also um, I'm doing some events. So we're doing a winemaker lunch for over 60 people next
Ooh.
week, first week in February. So that's going to be kind of crazy. A three course lunch with them. They're coming in from
That's the
North,
perfect lunch.
right? So yeah, it's going to be kind of crazy because Kurt and I are doing all the cooking too on top of
Oh
that.
wow, but I know that's good. You guys know how to cook.
Yeah,
You know how to pair the wine. And we're going to be talking about that today
right,
too. But do people? Because I know it's such a beautiful time to get out in the desert and spring, and people are getting back. I mean, there's all the sports events coming up
right.
in as well. So corporate events coming through. Do you book like those kinds of dinners for people to say, hey,
Yeah.
can we bring our team here? Our boss needs a little loosening up. Take them to Peggy and Kurt.
Right, right. No, exactly. So I do a lot of team building kind of events. Our charcuterie making class, a lot
Oh,
of corporate groups enjoy that. Also, I'm doing upcoming a wine and cheese pairing
oh,
event for some gals that are traveling to Scottsdale from all over the country to get together in Scottsdale. So yeah, we can, if you want to do a special event, just call me and I'll make it happen at our place. Plus, we have the wonderful patio that is in
mm.
the heart of down Old Town Scottsdale, and so people will sit out on the patio all afternoon and drink wine and watch
Patio
crazy
drinking and
people.
sunshine sounds like my kind of
Yeah,
thing right now. I'm in.
exactly.
I'm in. I'd like, short sleeves, all of that. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah. we're getting a lot of Canadians coming down.
I
Uh,
can bet. bet. My phone doesn't know if I'm in Idaho or Canada right now, and I'm in neither. It just knows,
right.
goes by the temperature, I think. But the snowbirds are snowbirds for a reason. I get it, man. You want some sunshine, you want to feel that warmth. But one thing too, having these kinds of events, I think it's really cool for Scottsdale and for people to come and like, oh, we have this unique experience. You
Exactly.
can go to a tasting, which is fantastic, right? Obviously, but to have these kind of experiences, even if it's only a few of you, like what is the minimum for that? Because travelers really want that kind of thing.
Four people,
Mm,
four people,
wow.
two couples. Give me a call. We can do a special wine and cheese pairing, or every day you can come in and do your our wine and chocolate pairing, and our wine
Oh,
concierge can walk you through that, and you don't even need to have a reservation unless you're more than six people.
oh,
And you know, we're like I said, we're in the heart of Old Town, so there's just so much going on in the area
mm,
that it's the destination place. I mean, you from the Western Museum, which is unbelievable, and you can have that kind of Western experience to Native American. There's an incredible Native American art gallery in Old Town right near us. And of course, just the museums all around
mm,
us are incredible, as well as the art galleries. So, yeah, you can
yeah.
spend a fun weekend right by us in Old
And
Town.
I'm glad we're talking about this because it makes sense for, just for Valentine's week or,
Right.
that month, right?
Yeah, there's so much. We
We have
have
the long
also
weekend too, the
right,
long weekend.
and we have in the Arabian Horse Show, which if
Oh,
people are horse lovers out there, you,
mm,
you if you have not done that, you got to come to the horse show. It's always around Valentine's Day, is when it's I think 10 days in that time
mm,
frame. Of course, we have the golf tournament coming up, which is absolutely incredible. The
wow.
Waste Management Golf Tournament. A lot of fun to go to that. And baseball starts in February and goes through March, and so there's just a lot to do. We have destination shopping that's incredible, and we have a new Caesars opening up right by us, and yeah,
You guys are busy. It's hopping.
it's
It's
it's hopping. It is a
well,
destination.
I'm glad you mentioned chocolate and cheese. And so everyone in the show notes, we just put a chocolate guide together because February is chocolate month, right?
Yes.
And I did this, I don't know, I went down a rabbit hole of chocolate page. You know how many there are chocolate holidays for every month. I
Oh
went,
wow.
no, it's insane. So anyway, we've linked in the chocolate guide your chocolate pairing tips, but in the show notes, everyone, look in there. You're going to see a link to Peggy's tips on cooking with wine, which we're going to talk about today. We're going to also have the link in there for her chocolate and wine pairing tips. And I think we're going to do we have to put the charcuterie cheese in there? I think we might have to because people may do this for Valentine's Day, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, no, that'd
Okay.
be awesome. Yeah.
Mm. So cooking with wine, you have this really good wine term today, and so it goes with cooking, and it doesn't.
Right. Maceration. A lot of people have
Oh boy.
heard maceration when it comes to cooking, but maceration is also a wine making term. It's
Hmm.
basically when we leave the grape juice together with the skins, the stalks, the seeds, and allow the extraction of the color. Remember, the color of the
Mm,
grape juice comes from the skins,
mm,
and so we're extracting color. And of course, it increases the tannins because the tannins also are derived from the skins, but it is also concentrating the flavor of the grape juice. So
okay.
maceration is a
Oh.
wonderful way to really to get the most flavor out of the grape juice.
Mm,
Same thing with cooking. You've probably heard of maceration when you're thinking of cooking, and it's particularly with fruit.
mm-hmm,
I love to make a chocolate dessert
mm.
and then serve it with macerated berries.
Ooh.
So what you're doing is you're um, softening or breaking up those berries with a liquid, and wine is a perfect
I was gonna say a little bit of wine or, yep.
definitely a
Ooh.
little bit of wine, a little sugar is a great way to macerate those berries. And what you're doing is concentrating those flavors in the fruit or the vegetables and softening that so that the flavors marry together.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, macerated berries topping over a chocolate is just
Okay,
incredible.
why are you doing this to me right now? I'm like, I'm a little bit on the hungry side, but then it's now I'm in the chocolate mind. I'm like, okay, just who cares about dinner tonight? Let's just have chocolate. Now, when you're
Yeah,
macerating those berries, like you can do cherries, you can do, all of that, but
right.
and you're talking about wine. Now, your tips, you talk about cooking your food, your if you're gonna cook with wine, do what you're gonna drink at the table or
Right.
what you're drinking as you're cooking.
Right.
But the berries, would it be the same rule?
Yeah, you don't want to macerate with something that you wouldn't drink, So you want
Mm,
and you don't want something because the sweetness you're trying to pull out the sweetness of the berries or the vegetable or whatever you're macerating. You don't want a sweet wine to do that. So you want a
okay.
dry wine to potentially do that. And you don't necessarily have to have a red wine. It can be a white wine, but a
Hmm,
dry white wine to potentially do that.
hmm,
Um, so yeah, maceration. What's great about cooking with wine, I think, you can cook with wine in a variety of techniques.
hmm.
So you can roast, make marinades. You can use wine for sauces or gravies. You can bake with wine. You can deglaze a pan with wine, or you can
Hmm.
add wine to water. So, for example, have you ever added like red wine to your pasta water and
Mm,
then added your pasta? It'll pick up the flavors of
really?
the wine. Yep. So you can
Wow.
replace water with wine in some of your dishes if you want to add more flavor to them.
Is that what, chicken masala? I do love a good chicken masala. Like it's got to be good. Like when it's good,
Yes. Yeah.
it's off the hook. Now, do they use wine in that? I always thought they use like a white wine in there or not.
No, they use wine, Marsala wine. That's Marsala
Oh,
is a
that's
wine.
okay. I think you
Yeah.
told me about this a few months ago now that I
Yeah.
think of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's
But
good.
yeah, and the key with that is it's easy to overcook it. And so the
Mm,
chicken is tough. So the key is making sure that the chicken is really wonderful and moist and ready
soft.
to roll. Yeah, I mean a lot of times you can also for example, I buy those roasted chickens from the grocery store
Oh yeah, yeah.
times, right? And I use that chicken in a lot of different ways. Um, so maybe the day after, I might want to rehydrate that chicken
Mm-hmm.
before I use it, maybe to toss in a pasta or something like that. I'll rehydrate it in wine and instead
Mm,
of just to kind of add more flavor to the white meat or the meat that's left in there. So
hmm.
you can use it in that way too. So,
Okay, now how about this? Let's toss out the store-bought salad dressing because we know it's got a bunch of stuff you're not supposed to have, right? So
right.
people make their own. Well, why don't we just use wine instead of vinegar and get on with
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We do. Like for example, for my winemaker lunch that I mentioned, we're doing a first course of a salad with a Viognier vinaigrette.
Mm,
So it's our dry white wine and with a lot of herbs, and we turn that into a vinaigrette. So,
mm.
you have to um, like I'll add a little honey to add a little bit of sweetness to it because it's a really dry white wine,
Okay.
and that with the really nice olive oil, and then
Mm,
the herbs and salt and pepper, and it
ooh,
makes a wonderful,
mm,
wonderful. Because what the wine brings to the salad dressing is that acid that you
yeah.
want, right? So think about wine as an acid that you're adding into.
Instead of the vinegar,
Correct.
but it's wine and that's better.
But it's
Now,
wine.
you tell us that when you're cooking, with wine to cook off the alcohol. So now with salad dressing, you're getting the whole thing. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's all good, but you don't want to serve the salad dressing to your kids. That's, or maybe you do if they need to go to sleep. But but, but I'm just kidding, everyone.
Yeah,
But when it comes to cooking, you say to make sure that you do cook off the wine. So get the alcohol to evaporate, right? Otherwise, it's gonna,
correct.
yeah.
And it's the length of time that you're cooking the wine um,
Mm,
is if there's going to be some residual alcohol left, unless you're cooking something for a very long time.
mm,
So there will be a little bit of residual alcohol left in
mm,
whatever you're cooking, but it's the length of time you're cooking, the temperature you're cooking it at,
mm,
and just like anything, when you're concentrating the flavor. So as you're as you're cooking with wine, it's reducing, and so those
mm.
flavors are concentrating.
Okay. Now you have a recipe for salmon. So tell
Right,
everybody about this because when we think even about date nights, salmon is light, right? So it's something
right.
very light. You don't want a heavy meal over Valentine's. And when people start doing, let's go out for the big steak and everything, well, then that evening might not go off the way you
That's
want it at
right.
the end.
And you want your dessert. You want your uh, chocolate dessert. So
And
you
tell
want to
everybody
go,
about the dessert wine because
yeah,
that's what you want for Valentine's night, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. So the recipe is wine poached salmon. So
Mm,
again, that's a way to use wine as a poaching liquid. And so this calls for Viognier, but you can use any other dry a white wine and create your own bouquet garni,
mm,
with I like to use a piece of cheesecloth and then use fresh herbs like rosemary and thyme and parsley and a bay leaf and oregano, tie it up in your um,
oh, wow.
little bouquet garni, and then float it in the wine, the 3 cups of
Oh,
wine, so that it picks up the flavors of the herbs before you put your salmon in there. So
okay.
you're creating that bouquet of flavor in the wine. Then you put your salmon, excuse me, you remove the bouquet garni because it's already received all the flavors into the
Mm,
wine. Put your salmon in the pan and it'll start, and you baste it, poach it.
yeah.
So spoon so it's skin side down and you're spooning
No, it's
the,
one spoon in my mouth, one
yeah,
spoon on this on the salmon. But you can pour yourself a glass of wine while you're doing this. You're allowed to put some
exactly.
nice music on. If you're making this for you and your lover, put some nice music on, get in the mood, have that wine, and then you can start spooning. Ha!
That's
Sorry.
right. That's right. You can spoon later. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
You
yeah,
know,
so but this is good. That's good information.
And then if there's some of that poaching liquid left after you've taken the salmon out
No.
to rest, if there is, or
Yeah.
or if you want to put a little bit more wine in it to scrape up any of the bitsies on the bottom of the pan,
Yeah.
and then add a couple tabs, not tablets, tabs of butter, and make
Ooh.
a nice little sauce and squeeze some lemon in there to make a little
Oh.
pan sauce to
Mm.
drizzle over top of that salmon. It's absolutely wonderful. And then,
See,
of course,
oh.
drink the vignette with it.
Yeah, how is the vignette? We want to, Nancy and I feel like personal ownership on your vignette now after,
Yes, you should. You
yeah,
absolutely
after the
should.
tasting. I mean, the barrel, I mean, it's, yeah, how are they doing?
They're doing great. They're doing great. I think we're releasing one in March. So
Oh,
we'll send you
wow.
some wherever you're going
Oh,
to be. So
we're just gonna come right back.
yes,
Can we
please
come
do.
live in the
Yeah,
vineyard?
yeah,
We're gonna come hang
exactly.
out. You guys gave us good luck for seeing bears, but that was special to have that tasting and just it'll be exciting to hear the difference,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of how it is. So vignette would go well with that, you say. So,
I
but
think so.
dessert, we've got the chocolate, right? But tell everybody about the perfect ideal wine to close off the night, especially if you want some naughty news.
Oh, yes, we have a wonderful, it's called Epilogue,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a late harvest dessert wine. So think of it like it's port-like, but
Mm.
it's one of those wonderful wines. It's so smooth, it goes down so easy. and then you go to stand up, it's like, whoa, that it hit me because it's 18% alcohol,
Ooh.
and low residual sugar, but it's just a wonderful sipping kind of wine, makes a wonderful dessert.
So you may really want to be doing this when you're cooking at home and have an in-home kind of
Correct. Correct. Exactly.
atmosphere.
Yep. You want an epilogue to the evening.
Yes, and Uber's going to be busy anyway, so
Yep,
kind of
exactly.
do it that way. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that, and people are going to love. I think the salmon, like you were saying, is so good, but I feel like we could do the same thing with like a chicken breast too,
Oh,
with your salmon
absolutely.
recipe.
A lot of people do use wine in stews. I don't know if you've ever had coq au vin,
Mm,
um, or you can do coq au vin, which is basically a stew that's made with wine and basically chicken, that's stewed with carrots, and you
mm,
cook it you roast it a long time, and it just falls off the bone, and it's just a wonderful, rich stew. But you can also do that with a white wine too, and make a cocoa rouge just
mm,
with a white wine. Again, roasting it, wonderful way. Of course, everyone knows you can use wine in marinades because of the acid helps break
mm,
down tough meats. So if you have a tougher kind of meat that you're going to grill, you'd want to use a red wine to marinate
hmm.
in. You can also, if you have leftover wine, here's a tip: um, put it in ice cube trays, and so that you have little, um, you
Cooking.
know,
Yeah.
for adding to a sauce or you
Hmm.
just pull it out of the freezer when you need it and melt it in your sauce. You don't want to, a lot of people say, well, what if my wine was bad? Can I use it for cooking? No. If your wine was bad, it was bad and it needs to be thrown away. But if you have
Wow.
left, if exactly, just that's a sad thing, but it happens. But if you have leftover wine that you just didn't drink
Mm.
and you're not going to get to it, put them in those ice cube
I
trays and
don't know
save
what
it for
you're
cooking.
talking. I don't know what
I
you're
know
talking
you've
about.
never seen it at your home. I know that,
It's
but
it's like, yeah, I see that where, yeah, I've seen it in people, but like I'll go, that is not a
why?
problem. No, it because but I think cooking with wine is something really a special, it's a special way. It kind of makes what you're drinking and the dish all kind of unite into one big wonderful experience. So
Absolutely.
I'm for that. I'm for that. So, but it sounds like we're going to go through a whole bottle. 3 cups starting to sound like a whole bottle to me.
Right, right. So don't just buy
That's a
one
little
bottle.
sacrifice. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. You can't take, you know, I'm rationing. I don't want to be rationed on wine.
You can use a cheaper bottle of wine to cook with, but make sure that it's similar to what you're going to be drinking. So
Yeah.
make sure it's a dry wine, and
Mm,
you don't want to cook with an oaky wine. So
okay.
one because that will um, it won't have a pleasant flavor that
Oh,
you
we
might
don't want
want.
that. No,
No.
no.
So you want to have a dry wine that's not on a lot of oak, either
Okay.
white
So
or
more of the
red.
stainless steel kind of.
Correct. Or
Okay.
neutral oak barrel, that type of thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have two different flavors going off on each other, and you never know what's going to
correct.
happen in your pan. They might not
Correct.
like each other anymore.
That's right.
We
That's
don't
right.
want that. We
And
we want everyone to be happy.
we want everyone to play nice and
That's
taste
right.
good in the mouth.
Well, I'm glad the vineyard's doing good. I'm glad that your vineyard is not where we saw all that ice because we were both horrified going, oh, these poor
Right,
farmers, and that's the thing, as with what you do, not only being a winery, but actually growing and
right,
doing the viticulture, right?
right.
You've got to feel for everybody when they go through something like that. It's kind of like, no, because it's, how much work they put into, you know.
Absolutely. Yep.
And
And you
we
can
know
lose
Kurt
it.
goes and sings to all the vines and goes, okay, do you want 2 or 5 buds? And
Yep.
sings to him, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I know. They'll get me later on that. But Peggy,
Uh,
always fun having you on the show. Everyone, ldvwinery.com. Go see them in Scottsdale. And then also you can go through Harvest Host and camp there too. So that's also at the vineyard, right? Is that
yes.
year round?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay,
Just
cool. Cool,
depends
cool.
on if we're there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We can't wait for next month. Hey, and it's Women's Month and Women's History Month, right?
Yes.
And Arizona Wine Month next month. So March is a big deal.
And my
So,
birthday.
oh, see, she already made history just like that. See? Well, that's
Awesome.
really important. All right, you take care.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Wine Time with Peggy show. Keep up with LDV Winery at ldvwinery.com. Keep up with Big Blend Radio at bigblendradio.com.